What is up? How you doing? How's everything going?
Well, it's going well. How about you? How you been doing today?
Oh, very good. About the same as I was a few minutes ago when I talked to you. Um, how's everybody doing this evening? I am of course Corey Coleman. This is my son Ryan. It is our episode 2 of what my son named. He came up with it. Film for thought tonight. We are doing A24's The Blackcoat's Daughter. Very very cool movie. Very awesome. See if we got any comments happening here yet. Yeah, we got a couple things going on here. Hey Waffles, what's up? Yeah, I know the question marks are because we're late. I imagine. Good sheds are on the way. Thank you, baby. I appreciate that. Uh, hey, Judo, how's it going? Yeah, but this is a hell of a movie. If if you guys haven't seen it, which I'm assuming you have, um, I definitely recommend that you watch it first because, of course, with it being a review, there's going to be spoilers. We have our own way of doing things. This was done by Oz Perkins, which I come to find out I didn't know is the son of Norman Bates and Anthony Perkins. And his other son, Elvis Perkins, does the music in it, which is very, very cool. What do you think about that when we seen that?
I thought it was very interesting. Especially since one of his kids is named Elvis and he decided to go into the music business. I feel like if you're named Elvis, you don't really have any choice.
Yeah, it's yeah, you gotta do it. Oh, check out this name, Ryan. I didn't know if it was in the chat last time, but Revan.
Oh, cool!
Oh
Awesome.
my god! I hit the button. Hold on, no, I lost you for a minute. Sorry about that. Hit the wrong shit. Yeah, but yeah, Revan Stormlord. What do you think about that? And I instantly asked him. I was like, "You mean like Dark Revan?" He's like, "Yep." I was like, "That's very very cool." Hey, Mr. Nan, how you doing? Glad everybody here.
Any
Thank you very much, very very much. Give us that thumbs up if you would, please, even if we fuck it up.
even any enjoyer of Darth Revan is a friend of mine.
Revan, yeah, Revan. It took so many years for Revan to get his due, man. He finally did.
He's probably one of the most. We probably shouldn't get into this. We have a movie to talk about.
Well, yeah, but I mean, go ahead, man. I'm going through here. I'm going through the making
um,
sure everything is good.
he's probably one of the most in-depth Star Wars characters ever made. And it sucks that he never really got his due until just recently.
He's a cool fella. Yeah, yes. Oh, the one photo I forgot to upload was the theatrical trailer. I didn't upload the theatrical trailer photo to show it. So unorganized tonight. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
When you've ever seen it with the whole thing with the you know what I mean. With one thing I want to talk about first is the possession type aspect. Last week we talked about Saint Maud and the whole aspect of the possession, and we both agreed there was no possession with Maud.
Well, yeah, with Saint Maud, I feel like it's kind of hard to believe there is any like real possession going on because the ending of the movie just I feel like just not negate anything kind of,
It's just in her own mind, and I truly believe I'll stick by it. I'll say it again this time that she I truly believe that she was she had schizophrenia or something like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That
definitely.
she was out of her head. But here, this is a completely different story, man. This one's in a lot of ways much scarier, man.
Well,
This is even though it does have a possession and it even has a little exorcism, but they managed to pull it off. Where exorcism is one of those things where since the Exorcist did it back in 1973, you're either going to pull it off or it's going to be hokey and corny as hell.
well, yeah, but like with like a Saint Maud, it's the possession and whatnot is completely different. Like they do it like in a way that's not even really a horror movie. So yeah, Black Coat's Daughter is definitely scarier than Saint Maud. It has like an actual like creep factor, like
Yeah.
especially
Oh,
like the score of like Elvis Perkins that we were talking about earlier. Really haunting and really really good atmospheric.
yeah. Very, very good music, and it fits every bit of what's going on. Like it tells you, it does what a score is supposed to do. It helps tell you. The whole point of a score is to tell you, in my opinion, is to tell you help direct you in how you're supposed to feel about that scene
Hmm.
or what's going to happen or what just happened. But yeah, there is an exorcism here. There is definitely a possession here. But this is it, at very core. This is a film about loneliness. It's about rejection. It's about not fitting in, and it's about the one girl's desperate quest to to find companionship again.
I mean, I agree with you that this movie is about, companionship and trying to find it being lonely. But really, when it really comes down to it, I feel like it's more about how grief, and that like once something ends in the past, you can never reclaim it the same way.
Right.
Like for example, let's say you're a kid and you like play a game with like one of your friends. Like when you're like 5 years old and like you guys don't talk to each other anymore, and like you're like 10, 11, 12, and you try to do the same games that you did before, you're just not going to enjoy it the same because you're different people now.
Exactly. I'll give you an adult aspect of that. The adult aspect would be you have your first love, right? You guys break up when you're 18, 19 years old. You are into each other again when you're 40, and you try to recapture that same love you had as you did when you were your first love. It's not going to work because you can never recapture the past. That's one thing my mom always said. Your grandmother always said. You don't try to recapture the past because you can't do it.
Yeah, you should never try to recapture the past. I feel like you have to enjoy. That's why you always need to enjoy things while it's happening, because you're never gonna be able to regain it the same way.
Reverend Sermon said the Black Throat's daughter. Damn, that must have been an autocorrect or something. That sounds like a good movie too. The Black Throat's daughter.
The Black Throat's Daughter. It sounds a little more risque.
Yeah, it does have a adult feel to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Says congrats to Brendan Fraser. Yeah, winning Best Actor. We have not seen The Whale yet, but we're
So bad.
looking forward to it.
Man, I was looking at the Oscars recently, and A24 had a clean sweep on the major ones. Like they won Best Supporting, Best Actor, Best Movie. They got all of it basically.
Yeah.
Like all the main ones, they did a clean sweep this year.
They're really careful about the films that they make. Hopefully, they don't go and do what Blumhouse did and go from making good films early on, I mean, Sinister and shit like that, to the crap that they're starting to do now.
Well, I think A24 has a higher chance of producing better movies than Blumhouse, simply because Blumhouse was already starting with like a horror, like the deep down like horror.
Too, you know?
Yeah, Blumhouse was already starting with like that very cliche horror, but they just did it in a different way. And once like their main directors at Blumhouse had like James Wan and stuff ran out of ideas, they went down. With A24, they don't just cater to a few directors. They also do completely different movies, like Everything, Everywhere, Always. I don't remember the name. No, Jamie Lee Curtis in it. I've heard it's completely different. I've heard it's also really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got Ninja. What's going on, Ninja? Juno says there's another generic exorcism movie called the Exorcist Pope. Yeah, I'm really concerned about that.
That's one Russell Crowe.
And because some scenes I've seen about that, man, I don't know. Juno says it's a horror fan to Oscar, which is cool. Yeah. I thought this. Reverend says I thought this movie was about the dangers of loneliness, and if you don't connect with other people, evil will gladly step in. That's a great point too.
Yeah, it is.
That's a good point, because I feel like we're getting ready to get into the review here, and we'll start out with her dream and all, when she dreams that her parents are dead. You can go from did the entity kill her parents, or did it just see her parents were dead and it had notice of her already, so it stepped in. And I think that's basically what Revan's saying here, because she doesn't fit in, she doesn't have friends, she's odd, she comes off weird, so nobody, you can just tell without even showing it, you can tell that prior to this she was odd and didn't have a lot of people talking to her already anyway.
Yeah,
But
it kind of shows that in one of there's like a flashback scene in the movie where she's like sitting all by herself in a class, like looking out through a window. She just looks really lonely.
that was a great point, though, Revan. That
Yeah, it
that was a
was. It
that was
was
an
really good. I
extra
didn't think
add-on
about
to
it.
what we're already saying. So that's the third or fourth different aspect already that's true about this film.
Now I have some
But
guidelines to ask about for this movie. With this movie, are we going to go straight into spoilers for this movie, or are we going to like build it up a little bit? Like are we going to be like talking about it and then like reveal stuff like as the movie does? Or are
no,
we going
as we go through the review, I think it's best to go through, like, for instance, with the Joan character. Let's not disclose everything about the Joan character right away.
to do we just like go in all the way?
That way, the review, in my opinion, the review will be better that way, and then we'll disclose it as it happens.
Okay. I'm sorry, everybody. I was planning on asking that before, but I just forgot.
But Brian Martino produced this. It's a good point, and he's the one that directed The Strangers from '09. This stars Emma Roberts, Kiernan Shipka, and Lucy Boynton, and it also has the legendary James Remar, which is He is a kick-ass, nice little addition role in this. He's always great as he's Ajax. He was, of course, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie. Really, really good stuff. But yeah, I've got lots of notes about what this is about, and we might talk about four things of what this thing's about, different points about this film, man.
Yeah, I'm actually getting into the movie and whatnot. It starts out with Kiernan Shipka or Catherine Cat. Having this this very like strange dream of someone like leading her to like a wrecked car that she then thinks is her parents. Which is
Yes,
what can I say before we actually start that Catherine is so beautifully played by Kiernan Shipka. Like it's one of the best performances I've seen in an A24 movie.
it's scary, and I'll get into a couple of little things here later on as we go, different little things like this, and yeah, because yeah,
Yeah, I
she
think
goes
she can.
through a whole range of emotions here. Like later on, some of the smiles that she gets is of that I know more than you. Like, for instance, when she's doing when they ask her to do the prayer for breakfast, and she's doing a prayer almost like she's mocking God in that prayer. And
Mhm.
that that woman, I can't remember which one it was. She said she's like, Catherine, and she's like, what? Just smiling, like, she wanted to make fun. But here she is, and this is just one of the odd looks that she has on her face throughout the film.
Yeah,
That's
she can.
also odd, but check out this look.
I'm
This this is when they're figuring out that they haven't heard from her parents yet. Her parents have not showed up. And I think after she has this, when she has this dream that her parents are dead. She's being led to the car to show that they're dead, and then she finds out that not hearing from them yet. So this is right about that time when she's finding out they haven't heard from him yet. They can't get a hold of him. They're getting ready to go on break. And it's basically when this guy is like, hey, you can't, because you just can't live here. And the other girl that's still there is played by Lucy Boynton. And you might know her from, she was in Bohemian Rhapsody, and she's done a few other things too. But she's playing like a senior. And she has lied to her parents.
Mhm.
She knows her parents aren't coming today because she told her parents a different day so that she could speak to her boyfriend, because she has something very important to speak to him about.
Yeah, we can probably get into that now because we get like really that's like really early in the movie. I find a very interesting thing about her character is that she's like during like the commentary and whatnot. He says that he was trying to write like a typical like bad girl like punk that is like not doing what she's supposed to do. Nine.
Right, right, right.
And I find that her character, played by Lucy Boynton, like you said, is like really well done. Like most of her performance is done through like body motion and like
Yeah.
how she performs the lines.
Well, and a lot of her lines, like when he asked her, we'll get into the part now where he's saying, well, since you guys have to stay here tonight, Rose, can you please look after Kat until her parents come? And then she's just saying like, no, I got plans to blah blah blah. I've been feeling very good. So then he has to ask the other two ladies in the house across the way if they can. And little things like that. And the way she speaks to her, like before she goes out, sneaks out to see her boyfriend, and she says, don't touch my shit, is a typical way that an older girl like that would talk to a 14, 15-year-old young person.
Yeah, it's a way to like display a little bit of power over younger people, because I mean you've always been like that role of like the younger person, and like your parents or older kids like will like display like a power or superiority over you.
Yeah.
I think she was just doing the same thing.
That's not something I necessarily agree with. There's a way of doing it where you're not talking down to the person.
Yeah.
But yeah, they stay at school with the two women, and before she goes out with her boyfriend, she tells Kat the story about the two women across the way and how they're actually devil worshippers and they don't have any hair on their body, and all that kind of stuff. And it looks like she's even believing her. Now, I don't remember ever. I mean, I don't think it turns out to be true. I think she's just kind of screwing with her. That, or it's just one of those stories that's been built up over time and all that kind of stuff. But she does something really weird. She tells Rose that she smells really good, and she kind of looks at her really strange. And she keeps telling him, "Well, Mr. Gordon said you're supposed to stay with me." And she's like, "Mr. Gordon says." Mr. Gordon says. She doesn't really care. She wants to see her boyfriend because she needs to talk to him because it doesn't say it, but that she fears she's pregnant.
But yeah, before we get too much further into the movie, you actually skipped over something I wanted to talk about. When Catherine does her performance of like the piano and she's singing and whatnot. On the commentary, it turns out that Elvis, but not Elvis Presley, Elvis Perkins found that the words to it like online somewhere. We just kind of found it and it was already there and how it was written. He just wrote like the melody to it.
Yes.
And when they gave Catherine or Kieran Shipka the words and whatnot, she like practiced in her own time and completely just one-shotted that entire scene.
Yeah, but she already knew the song. She already knew it on the piano, and she just whipped it right out and sang it really well too. I thought. You sort of throwing a little bit of film back there. Okay.
Yeah, and and I find that music to be extremely like both haunting and very catchy. Like it's been stuck in my head all day.
Yeah, that's a creepy tune, man. It sure is.
It's really good. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there because I feel like it was a point that we should cover.
Let me see. Okay, here we go. Says, I know you didn't know what cancel culture and woke message means in horror movies nowadays. Well, all that cancel culture and all that kind of stuff, I do try to stay clear of a lot of that stuff. A lot of it's beyond me. I just, I'm just person to person, you know what I mean? I think a lot of that stuff has blown things out of proportion to the point to where is why everybody is so sensitive now and why you can't, you know what I mean? And why you can't communicate like you did when I was young. Cancel culture is when like that bus scene, Netflix Chainsaw Massacre, and the one dumbass brings out his phone and record Leatherface and say do anything and I get canceled. Right. And woke is the mispronounced. They present, let me see, females roles like we got badass female leads and final girls in the past, great story, but woke, you don't get that nowadays. But they went from one extreme to the next is the problem. And even your female actors will even tell you that, hey, it's gone too far over now. It's like no matter what happens in society, when somebody tries to fix something that's wrong with it, they go to the exact opposite. There is no in between. You know what I mean? If we can find a nice middle ground here with these social problems and with these problems we have with society and with the way people get along and interact, things would be a lot better. Don't go from one thing to the next. Like I remember back in the day, I can still remember a time when if a man or a woman was an absent parent, they weren't forced to pay child support at all. It went straight from that to the very next thing you know, that if you get up to if you get up to a certain amount, no matter if you're trying or not, you got a felony on you, and it's called child neglect. So it's like, let's find the in between here.
Welcome to Political Talk with Gorfo, where we talk about all the newest
Oh
political.
man, I will rant. They already know I will rant, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I'm here to do this this with you. I'll rant Monday.
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So instead, we're stuck with annoying, unlikable, overbearing women now, instead of a nice, good character that is strong. You can have a nice, good character that's strong that isn't so freaking obnoxious. Is basically what you're saying, right? You know, weirded out. I was weirded out with a song. However, you're about haunted. Yeah. Hey,
The song was just really haunting, and it was wonderfully played by. Once again, I just had to keep saying it because she did so good in this movie, and I was not expecting it. Kiernan Shipka really sold the performance on this movie. Like, I would say, like, she really steals this movie.
And Emma Roberts is really strong too, man.
Emma Roberts is always good.
And I'm telling you that Shipka absolutely. Everybody knows how I always talk about the X Factor. The X Factor of this film is Shipka.
I just feel like Kiernan Shipka was perfectly cast in this movie because she's both interesting. She knows how to act really well, and she never does like several takes either. She just is able to just do it, which every actress in this movie was able to just do it like one take, which I find that to be nuts because performing is like hard. And they were able to just do it like they just understood.
She sells every emotion great. Even at this point right here in the story, when she knows she's leaving, she's basically asking her not to. She does. That's why she keeps saying, "Mr. Gordon told you to stay with me," and all this. If she knows she's going anyway, and she kind of creeps around and she's watching her leave, and you can even see her up the window, watching her get into the car. Well, she gets in the car and they take off, and now she is all alone.
Well, yeah, she was.
But
yeah, she was alone. Like when her parents and stuff didn't come back, she felt alone because she had a feeling that her parents died and whatnot. And she felt so alone.
That they did. She knows her parents well enough to know that she hasn't heard from them. They were supposed to be there. She had this dream. They still aren't there. She knows that something's wrong, and she pretty much believes what this figure in the dream showed.
And she after realizing that if her parents really are gone, she's gonna be all alone. That she tries desperately to like try to connect with Rose, like while Rose is leaving, like she's basically pleading with her to stay because she's like, "Oh, Mr. Gordon said you had to stay here and hang out with me and like look over to me." She just wanted a friend because she didn't have anybody at the moment.
But in Rose's defense, she's freaking out right now. She's a young woman trying to start her life, and she's thinking she might be pregnant.
Well, you're right. I mean, I wasn't saying it's Rose's fault or anything. I was just pointing out the part that Kiernan was so desperate. Rose 100% should have done what she did and left Catherine because she had really important things to talk about with her boyfriend, which we can get into now.
So Catherine's basically just an annoyance right now because she's got adult shit she's being forced to think about, and she's got this younger girl right there, basically following her around, not wanting her to leave. Well, of course she leaves anyway, and then she's all alone. And we go from that, and then we go to Emma Roberts. And we get to meet the Joan character, and we come to find out we see her she's catching a bus. She goes from that, and then we see her at the bus station sitting outside, and we found out that it was like 40 below zero when they were shooting this film. And it's when we meet Bill, played by James Remar. Comes across there, and he's wondering why this girl's sitting there, and he's like, can I give you a ride? Because he seems like a really nice guy. You're not quite sure if he's creepy nice yet, or if he's genuinely being nice. He said, "Hey, my wife's in the car, whatever." His wife doesn't turn out to be nearly as inviting, Linda. She's not nearly as inviting. You're wondering why she's so pissy. Is it because she thinks her husband's hitting on this young girl, or is it because she's just an asshole, or she's just like, we're in a hurry, we gotta get this done, and he's like, it's all right, we're gonna take her, and you blah blah blah, you know, and we're gonna take her where she needs to go. And this Linda immediately throws in there and goes, we'll take you and drop you off at a police station.
I feel like when you watch this for the first time, you certainly
You can't.
wonder about why is she being so rude to her. But I feel like even if you haven't seen the movie yet and you've seen that part, I feel like you can understand that she has some problems that she's dealing with. You can tell she's not just being a jerk, that there's a problem with her.
I wondered if it was because her husband was maybe a weirdo and liked younger girls, and that's why that's the first thing I thought, is maybe she was annoyed because she knows her husband is a pervert or a weirdo, and you know that's always a possibility. You know, before you see the movie and when you're first seeing it, that's something that went through my mind. I thought there's a good possibility that old James Remar was playing the creep up. That stuff annoyed me in the new horror movies on Blumhouse horror movies. Yeah. Did Ryan ever see the horrendous Halloween Ends? Yes, he did see Halloween.
Yes, I did. It's so bad. Here's the problem with it. The main problem with that movie is that parts of that movie, like the whole Corey part, if they would have done it differently and not put in a Halloween movie, I think it would have been a decent slasher. Just the Corey stuff, I think would have been a decent slasher. Like if it wasn't involved with Halloween at all, and Laurie's face wasn't stuck in it.
Yes, and yes, Remar is always great. But we're learning more about Joan. We're learning that Joan escaped from there. She's pulling off the thing that you get from the hospital there. She has a flashback of, you know what I mean, where she's getting out of there. She looks in the back seat as she's getting a ride, and she sees flowers in the back seat, and she's like, huh, I wonder what that's all about. He asked her, how far are you going? Well, we're going here, and let me see. She says that she's going to Portsmouth. They're not going there, but they're going that direction, so that's why she got the ride.
Yeah, Portsmouth is the next town after Brantford.
Yeah,
which is where the movie takes place mostly.
And then that's all we get of Joan at the time there. So we're
left. Yeah, and we flip back over to Rose now with her boyfriend, and and they're talking, and they never say that she's pregnant. You just kind of get the idea because it's silly thrown in there. Because people like when they're like talking about this kind of thing, they don't just say, "I'm pregnant. What do I do?" People don't say that. A lot of times they'll beat around the bush because it's kind of a sensitive topic. But her boyfriend went on and says, "Hey, can I at least like drive you over?" Like probably talking about like an abortion area.
Well, yeah, but that's even after he says, "So that's just it." So you get the idea that not only she may be pregnant and they got this problem, but she's like might be breaking up with his ass,
Yeah, he just seems so upset about it. He
didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm sorry. I mean, can I help you out like before this ends? And she's like, no, I'll do it.
I think he was thinking this was going to be a date night. Instead, he's finding out he might have a baby on the way, and he's getting dumb. So
he seemed like he was like somewhat supportive to the whole thing too. Knowing, I think she was just dealing with a lot and kind of took it out on him, which I mean, kind of fair because he is like half of the problem, and she just like took out her whole problems with it on him. Yeah. But it's kind of understandable.
Yeah. Well, but she sends him on his way anyway. He seems like a nice guy. He seems supportive. Most guys would have been like, "Hey, sorry," or been a dick about it, or been like, "Well, how do I know it's mine?" Or something like that. But instead, he's being supportive, and she's, sound like she might want to dump the guy.
From what we know, he was supportive. We only saw a very small portion of that evening.
Well, yeah, but
he could have done something to make her want to break it off. He doesn't seem like the person that would have, but who knows? You never really know.
We didn't see him get the news. We didn't see him get the news,
Yeah, he could have been really bad with it.
Hang on 1 minute here. My phone is down to 5%.
Yeah,
I can't charge it.
Why can't you charge it?
I don't know, but I'm about to lose power. I don't know what's wrong with the electricity over here, man. God. Hang on, everybody. Sorry about that.
I can continue to talk about this scene in particular, maybe like some other like little facts that I learned while we're waiting.
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I find it very interesting that during the commentary and whatnot, he like points out like a lot of connections to like Rosemary's Baby, which I find very interesting because you know, it's like another like I've never seen it, but I know it's like somewhat of like a religious like movie that has some undertones and whatnot of like possession stuff like that. Right. And he actually names the school off of I think the apartment complex that she's living at, which I find is interesting. He also connects the whole movie to like the Joan of Arc, like having a realization of like this like godly like.
We're gonna lose him, dude. We're gonna lose him because for some reason this phone will not charge. There, start to charge. Okay, all right. We're good, aren't we?
You're flipped, but it's working.
Well, we just lost the stream because the phone died.
Well, it says we're still going.
Oh my God, man! Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there. But yeah, weirdly enough, it's this movie and the last movie that we did both like have like a connection to Joan of Arc, which I find is. You still got him? Yeah, I still got him. I'm still talking. I'm gonna just try to figure it out. But yeah, I find it very interesting that both movies that we decided to review so far have both had that like Joan of Arc undertones. I find it very interesting that we were able to do that. He also Oz Perkins, the director of the movie, is also attributes a lot of the success. Oh yeah, I'm talking. Attributes a lot of the success to the movie to Julie Kirkwood, which is the cinematographer of the movie, where like these very beautiful shots are like presented throughout the movie of there's this one scene in particular I want to talk about where it's you can see Kiernan Shipka, that's her name. Yep. Kiernan Shipka is sitting in like this chair next to an empty chair, and a lot of times like what that represents in a movie is like that why isn't there someone else in this other chair, and it like gives this idea of there being an unseen presence in the movie that you're not quite seeing or understanding. That's what like empty chairs only mean, is like an unseen presence. Other really good performances in this movie are people such as like the one by Father Brian, Greg Elward, did a very good job. Like he kind of came off like really creepy throughout the movie, like maybe a bit of a pervert, and he came off like very creepy. And throughout the movie, you can see him like these like really weird close-up shots. Like before Kiernan does her her performance, and Father Brian says he's not going to be able to like watch the performance. Catherine seems to be very upset about it, like almost like, why aren't you going to be there? And she just like seems like they have like a really weird connection, which is kind of weirdly inappropriate for like, you know, the father of a like an all-girls school with like freshmen, which is kind of an odd connection. I'm not sure how appropriate it is, but it doesn't. I see that's the whole thing about this movie. It's the only part of the movie that I find to be undefined because I'm not sure what kind of person Father Brian is.
Yeah. All right. I am back. That was absolutely dreadful.
Oh. I know. Tell me about it. I just had to solo a whole bunch of facts.
Well, we had to keep you in there or we'd lost the whole thing. So,
But yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. It's just it wasn't easy because I'm not used to it.
so where you at? And what's going on there? We got her breaking up with them. She goes back into school. She's looking for she's looking for Cat. Can't find her. She goes into
I mean,
she goes into the bathroom. Um, uses the bathroom. We show a flashback on that later. She goes in. She takes piss. I guess I don't know. She pees. Um, comes back out and she's hearing a voice in the vent, and she's wondering how that comes from. She's figuring since they're the one two there, that must be Cat. So she goes looking for her. She figures she must be in the basement. She goes down the basement.
no, like when she reaches the basement and like gets to the boiler room section of the basement, she sees a cat in a room by herself worshiping a furnace, which is
She's doing it
sound,
really weird, man.
sounds like the starting of like it sounds like the starting of a joke in a bar, but
It does, and it's really creepy. I remember the first time when
yeah,
I
she's
said,
just
I
like
said, "What the
repeatedly
is she
bowing,
doing?"
like I'm like those birds that like go into the water. It gives me
Yeah,
those kind of feeling, like just the repeated, just very like robotic praying to
right.
like this furnace.
Because this is a flashback show. So at this point, when you first see it, you first see the film, you have no idea why she's doing this. You have no idea what's going on because it's the flashbacks that let you know what led them to these certain places. So it's like she gets her. I'm assuming she gets her out of there and gets her up to her room. Gets her a shower or whatever. Um, yeah, she gets her a bath or whatever and gets her in the bed. And she's trying to talk to her. She's actually trying to talk to Kat because I think she feels bad. She's a little worried about her. She doesn't understand why she was, down there. Um, so now she's trying to kind of be friendly with her, and now she's being really weird. And she's asking her, "Can I do anything for you?" or anything like that. What are you thinking then when Kat says, "No, you had your chance"?
Well, okay, so I think that is like a demon, the demon basically talking directly through her. Like you had your chance to connect to her, you lost that chance. Now I have her.
Really, really. So you don't think that came from Kat?
Well, I think it all comes from Kat, but I think it's all influenced by the demon. Like once the prank to the furnace is over, I feel like everything else is Kat, but through a filter.
Really? The chat's not moving. Are we on here, you guys? Because on
We
my
are,
thing,
we
it's
are,
saying a one over here. Are 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 we
we're
live?
live.
You guys still good? All right. I didn't think about that aspect. That was the entity. See, I refer to it as a demon because it sounds kind of corny. So I say the entity. Um, I never considered that aspect that was the entity saying, "Hey, no, it's okay. You had your chance." That's interesting.
But yeah,
Very
after
cool.
this scene, we go back to Joan, and
Hmm.
would when we go back to Joan, we see like her in this like motel room, like starting to get like she like gets a shower and whatnot, and like after she gets a shower, Bill, comes in, knocks on his door like without his wife.
Yeah. See, this is why I was still thinking in here. That's why I was still thinking this guy's odd because he comes in there and he acts really weird, and we don't know why yet. But I this whole time I'm thinking he's a creep, because she asked him, what I mean, where's your wife? And he's like, she's next door sleeping, and she's like, well, when are we gonna be going? He's like, well, what's your hurry? And he's sitting there. First of all, he should not have come in that room when she was still in a towel. She should not have let him in that room when she was still sitting around in a towel. So the whole thing was just it was inappropriate from the very beginning of that whole aspect. Um, that's why I was saying that he was kind of making me feel kind of weird there. But um, he starts telling her about God and all this kind of stuff, and and asking her if she believes in God, and he starts telling her that this is how what this way he sees it is in the little coincidences or whatever.
Yeah, and earlier in the movie, they talk about how the reason that that he picked her up and whatnot because she reminds him of somebody that was close to him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Um, yeah, of his and his wife's daughter. Um,
Hmm.
and she's like, oh, okay. Well, but did you notice that when he was talking about God and all that kind of stuff, no coincidence, you just see her jaw tightening and stuff, and just when she looks up, she just gives him this look, and it's a different look. Before she's kind of quiet and kind of shy, but that look looks almost as if I don't know, almost as if a little shitty, just a little crappy toward the guy.
Well, I mean, I think she had kind of bad experiences with religion.
Well, yeah, well, well, at this point, he's asking her if she's hungry, and why don't you get dressed? He decides. I think he realizes it's inappropriate, so he decides. Well, I'm going to get out of here. Decides if my wife wakes up and sees me in here, whatever. Um, asks her if she's hungry. Hey, why don't you meet me in the restaurant next door? This disconnected here, and blah blah blah, and we'll get something to eat, and we'll come back out, crash out, and we'll leave in the morning. So okay. So what's your did you ever 1 minute that he might be some weirdo pervert that whole time, the way he just sits there with her and that child? I mean,
Well, I
really?
mean, I feel like
I
how
mean,
the character is written.
he might be a freak?
I feel like how the character was written that you
Yeah,
can't
because
really watch
it's about
without
giving you an explanation.
thinking that he is somewhat of a pervert a bit. Like even in the commentary of the movie, they
Because
talk
they're
about
giving you
how
the opportunity, because they're allowing you to form your own opinion at this point. It's not just like, so it's just natural for your mind to wonder. Go ahead, sorry.
yeah, in the commentary for the movie of Oz Perkins talking about this movie, um he he talks about how even Bill doesn't really know what he's doing there. That is he supposed to be with this girl right now? What's he supposed to do?
Yeah, should he try to hit on her? Yeah, and when I heard that commentary, I was like, whoa, because by that point I'd forgotten all about it. I was like, okay, he's not a weirdo. And then the writer director says that he's thinking, well, should I make a move on her? And then he realizes that it's inappropriate to do that and how ridiculous that would be. So I was like, whoa, so he did have that thought. So see, that's a smart guy. Dad knows the creep when he sees one. So yeah, they meet in the restaurant, and she's even weirder. This is when it really gets good on the Joan. This is when I was like, whoa, because you said you pretty much knew. I did not know who Joan was. I like to approach a film a little differently. I like to let it tell me what's going on and not try to figure it out. I like for it to tell me. Well, he starts talking about his daughter and how they lost her 9 years ago. And he said, oh, I got a picture here. Shows her a picture. And the picture, do you want to go ahead and tell him who the picture is and what happens then?
Yeah, on the picture, it's of Rose. And throughout this entire movie, we think that these two parts of the movie, like the Joan part and then the Rose and Cat part, are parallel and happening together. But it turns out that Rose has died, and they can't possibly be in the same time if Rose has died. So you're like seeing you're seeing both in the
This must be 9
past
years later.
and in the present. So what you thought was the present was really a flashback for the events of the movie.
So who in the hell is this Joan then? She looks at this photo, is like, whoa. Well, she says, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. She goes to the bathroom and laughs. So now you're wondering what the hell? See, because we just now found out that Rose was dead. We didn't even know Rose had died. We had no idea Rose had even died at this point, let alone who in the hell Joan is and why she laughs that the girl is dead and why she reacted that way to the picture.
After that, we see her have a flashback to strangling a nurse from her nurse, and she then takes her ID, and on the ID there's a person that's not her with the name Joan. So at that point, we can kind of piece together the idea that her name is not really Joan. She's not Joan. Who is she?
The nurse was Joan. She killed Joan And she she killed her, and now she's there. Well, why is she doing that, and why is she going there? Well, when she comes back out of the bathroom, she's looking at this. She's looking at the dirty dishes over here. They're at this restaurant. She's looking at this steak knife, real weird. Well, it cuts over and shows her coming back to the table, and that's when he's come back to the table, and and he's like, hey, a storm's coming in. We can't wait till the morning. We got to get going now. So I'm gonna have to take you in wherever you're going now, and help you out now because we got to go do what we're doing, or we're gonna get snowed in. So
Yeah.
I mean, so at that point, now we go back to Rose and Kat.
Yeah. When we go back to Rose,
That's when all the she asked what she was doing in the basement and talked to her and all that kind of stuff. She told her she smells her.
Yeah, that's when like the whole interaction of like her on the bed and stuff happens.
Right.
Where she says like she really says that she smells pretty, and she says that several times throughout the movie.
Yeah. Well, she put a chair in front of the door because she got really creeped out by that, and then she goes to bed. She gets up. She's up the next day, and she comes out, and Kat's on the phone, and she was like, "So, are they coming? Did you find out what's going on?" And she's like, "Yeah, he said it was okay, and she's like, "Okay, so they are coming." So she's okay, so they're coming. So then we actually get to see these women. I mean, we got to see them for a minute earlier. We got to see these two women that supposedly were devil worshippers. And they're over at, they're getting ready to have breakfast and all that kind of stuff.
And while this happening, they're all sitting there, and they tell Rose to do like the praying before the meal and whatnot, or grace. And while she's doing that, Kiernan Shipka looks over at her hands like the entire time she's praying, with a smile on her face, just not paying attention, just like staring straight at her hands creepily. And then when one of the two people that are looking after them like yells at Kiernan and tells her to do the prayer, she sits there like doing the prayer, like she's like scoffing during it, she's laughing, she's just making fun of praying.
She's mocking it, yes. Yeah, totally mocking it. And then I love that look on her face, this smile. She's like, what? You know what I mean? And it comes off so evil. You wonder what the hell is going on with this girl now. And then she throws up all over herself, and they're freaking out, and they're trying to help her, and she's just not having any of it. The whole time Rose is looking like, what the hell's going on? All the way to the point to where the girl calls, she even calls one of the women a C word. What did you think was going on with her at that point? Because this is before anything about any kind of a demon or anything was shown.
Well, I mean, you can kind of see at this point. I kind of figured out that it was most likely the demon because she's worshiping a furnace. From the story about that sister that had gone into the room and saw that they were worshiping the devil. So it was kind of all connected. That
right.
That the devil's a part of the thing. So I just assumed that like either like she had gotten cocky with something, or this was like some possession parts.
Right. I'm really sorry, everybody. I am completely. I've got distracted 10 different ways because I'm having all kinds of electrical issues, all kinds of problems here, and I'm afraid I'm going to get cut off again. So I'm getting pissed. I'm trying not to get pissed. But anyway,
what happens before this part that we're talking about? She goes out to the car and talks to Bill's wife while Bill goes gets gas or something. I don't remember, but like while they're talking, Linda confronts her and is like saying stuff like, "Oh, did he tell you that you look like our daughter? Did he say have a daughter?" And she's just like being really crappy about it, and she says that she never sees the resemblance that Bill always says that almost every young girl looks like their daughter because he could not get past her death. So he always is saying younger women
Yeah.
look like his daughter. And
Yes.
she can never see the resemblance that he's talking about, except
Right.
one time. It was a
With
time
some
that she was
15-year-old. Yeah.
yeah, she went to the supermarket one day and saw a girl in like a school uniform.
Mhm.
And just for a moment, she said, "Is that my daughter?" Like she was very like keen on is that her?
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way she described how she had money in her hand and she's grasping it real tight, like a kid. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I instantly put me back to like when you were a kid and your brother was a kid, and now when I had your money, you'd have it real tight so you wouldn't lose it. You know what I mean? Um,
Even though I still lost it.
hey, son, how you doing, man? He said, hello, everyone. He said, hello, little Gore. Brian, man. Um, got that ranch good, man. Yeah, I checked it out and it wasn't on there. I don't know. Because I have this movie and I remember the last act being quite disturbing, but I need to watch it again since I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, because yeah, we're slowing the hell out of it. Um, and I'm just trying to get back on track because man, I'm having my light, my fan, and my phone was dying. My phone did die, and then all three of these things being plugged into that was screwing it all up, and I was about ready to lose power again. So, oh my god, man. But anyway, everything's cool now. I just shut off the fan, so I need to unzip a little bit because I'm quite warm. But yeah, that little, and you really get the idea that the mom, Bill's wife Linda, she's really a traumatized woman. She's just like she's got 10 different emotions going at once. You know what I mean? And you really
She,
feel bad for her.
she's really bitter and upset, and she's trying to get past her daughter's death, but her husband will not let her
Yeah,
because he continues over and over again to talk about the daughter, say people look like the daughter.
yeah.
He's not letting her move
The
past it.
marriage has suffered. The marriage has suffered. She's very bitter with him. She's very short with him. He's trying to be nice. He's genuinely trying to be a nice guy. He wasn't trying to be a pervert with this Joan. And this Joan, we can see that she's got 10 different screws loose. She's killed a nurse. She's taken her identity. We don't know who in the hell it is. She thought it was funny that his daughter had died. Um, and now you got the mom explaining to this Joan what the deal is, and this Joan is just kind of just, she's looking at her, and just the look she has on her face when she's looking at this mom is just like as if, okay, really? Well, when are we going to get going? You know what I mean?
No,
That's just kind
well,
of the way she come off.
how does this help me? Like, how's this involved? Knowing
Right, right. Why are we not leaving? I thought we were leaving. I need to get someplace. And but yeah, I don't understand it. Um, but back at the house um after Kat throws up at the table there, and they're trying to help her, and she calls the woman the c word. I won't say that here, not with you on the screen with me. But then the phone rings, and you can tell that they're really concerned. She calls the other lady in, and then they even call Rose in. All three of them in there looking in at Kat, and she's got this look on her face like what? So then they ask her, hey, they ask Rose, hey, we go shovel the sidewalks and everything off because Mr. Gordon is going to be on his way. He's coming here today. Something really important he has to tell us. And she's like, what? Why me? But anyway, she ends up going and doing it.
I hate when people do that, where you can see
When
like two people talking. Like you can tell they went away from you so they could talk about you, and
all
it's
three of
not
them.
like they like went out of view either. They're just like right there talking about you, and they keep like looking over at you, like yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
her.
well, what's funny about it is it was the first woman, and then she called the other woman in, and then them two women called Rose in.
And they
So
weren't even
that's what
that
she
far
said to
away.
herself when, you know, and she's like, what the hell? And they're not telling her why she can come. Well, so they get rid of Rose to go shovel the sidewalk. I assume maybe or no, I don't think he wanted it. I don't think he wanted them to say anything. I think that's why he was coming so he could do it. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
it's heavily implied. They never say it, much like most things in this movie, that most likely what he came to come tell Kiernan
right.
is that her parents had died, which is weird that she already knew that.
Well, yeah, she told her. Remember, she told Rose that the night before when she was laying up when she got her into bed after she was doing the weird shit. She told her, "Well, your parents back home tomorrow," and she said, "No, they're not coming because they're dead." You know, and then that and that's what she tells her. No, you shouldn't say that. You should never say that. Why are you saying that? Because that's just how she just somehow she knew it.
It's just really it's just really weird seeing, like, I imagine the reason it creeped her out so bad because it really seemed to mess with her is that it's weird to see like a child say their parents are dead
with a complete straight face.
Yeah, it's not like she was even upset about it. Just they're dead. No?
Yeah. Well, when she gets done shoveling, she tries to go back in. There's music playing. The door's locked, and they won't let her in. So she's stuck. She has to go back to the dorm by herself because for some reason, hey, they asked me to shovel. They asked me to shovel. I shovel. Mr. Gordon's coming, and now I can't even get back in. Music's playing. They can't hear me knocking, so I'll just go back here. She goes back in. I think she takes another nap or something.
Yeah, she just kind of leaves and like goes and lays down. She's dealing with a lot. I think she just kind of wants to relax a bit, which is not easy with that kind of problem.
Right.
And then
well, it's sometime along here that we find out that when you went, do what? You're frozen, your mouth wide open, talking. You're all right.
Can you hear the volume?
You froze like this.
Hey, I try to put some comedy in the show. It's kind of a serious show. I kind of put a little bit of the comedy in.
That was hilarious. He was like,
what you don't know is that my screen didn't actually freeze. I did that on purpose. I was just sitting there with my mouth agape.
It's the simple things that keeps life moving along. It's the simple little pleasures like that that just makes you giggle, that makes things worth it. So amongst all these electrical problems, all this bullshit, my phone dying, and for some reason the same cord that's charging it now would refuse to charge it then. At least I got a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, but when she gets back up, she goes out and she's looking around, and this is what freaked me out is I couldn't tell when she opens up that door, comes and looks down down the stairwell toward the door. I couldn't tell what it was she's seen first couple of times. I didn't rewind it, but this time I come to find out that I won't say yet, but it was dead. I knew it was basically a dead body or something was going on down there.
Well, right before this happens, the police and Gordon arrive.
Yeah.
And when they break into this building, with the key and whatnot, because it's locked. When they enter, they can see both of the people. There's a trail of blood leading down into the basement, and then there's also the dead bodies of both of the keepers that were there.
Well, the first thing that we see as the camera pans across is blood splatter on the wall, and he comes in, and he's just like, "Oh my god!" So, yeah, and then we go over to the dorm, and then we see something really bad down there at the bottom. Well, she turns around and goes back in, and then that's when Kat pops out and starts freaking stabbing her.
Yeah,
like a lot.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, she just starts stabbing. It's really. I think it's kind of symbolic too because she stabs her in the stomach first.
Yes.
And right before this, we figured out that she actually wasn't pregnant, and she's very relieved. And because she's young, she doesn't want this kid yet. Maybe never. No, she just doesn't want the kid at the moment.
Right.
And she Kiernan also has this phone call with this very deep, distorted voice. Before this. Well, right before the pregnant, not pregnant, she's pregnant and whatnot. Right before that, she has this really distorted phone call saying, "Hey, basically, kill them all."
Yeah. Well, first it says, because she's like, "Dad," and he's like, "No, they're not coming." And it basically tells her that they're dead. Kill all the seeds. You know what I mean? And well, she stabs the hell out of Rose. Rose dies there, and then all you see is her, and she dies. and then you come to find out that that's heads down there by the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then she pulls back the hair, and it doesn't show it, but she pulls back Rose. But anyway, we find out, yes, at this point we knew Rose had been dead for 9 years, but we didn't know why. So now we know why, and then we get the idea that she cuts her head off too. So now she has 3 heads. The cops and the dude who showed up over there. So now we get the cop. The cop comes over. He's got his gun drawn. He's looking for the girl. He's trying to figure out what the hell's happening. He tracks Kat back down there in the basement at the furnace again, and she's pretty much praising it again. And right beside her is the line of the 3 heads of the 2 women and Rose. And she stands up. She's got the knife in her hand. She won't drop it. So he shoots her. I thought when he shot her, he must have killed her. Did you think that she was probably dead at that point until, of course,
yeah, when he came in down there and he was just like, drop the knife, drop it, or I will shoot you. The entire time she's just like having her arms out, whatnot, with like a knife in one hand.
Yeah, she's like,
interestingly,
that crazy grin, man.
Interestingly, on the commentary, Osperkin mentions that how he described this role to the person who played the police officer was you woke up in the morning, you kissed your wife, you kissed your baby, you're going to work expecting to just like put some parking tickets down, maybe chase down like a speeding car, and then you get this.
Right. Sean says you're currently watching Leprechaun Returns, and it's surprisingly not an awful movie. I've never seen that. I remember people being confused by the Blackcoat's Daughter. It seems like most people hated it. Basically, just went over people's heads. I've heard the opposite, Sean. I've rarely heard anybody that disliked it.
Well, I feel like the normal viewer when they watched it found it kind of boring, but like horror fans and people like that liked it. Like the normal viewer, I've heard, thought it was boring, and then like horror fans, like film fans, thought it was really good.
You get it more and more the more, by the second and third viewing, you really get it, and you're really, you know what I mean?
Yeah, people aren't just willing to like invest, like watch a movie like 16,000 times before understanding the movie.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying you should see it 40 times to get it, but by the second, you get it somewhat the first time. Some people more than others, depending on what kind of movie you're used to watching. But you get pretty much the gist of it the first time, but by the second and third time, you're really like, oh, okay. And yeah, you're right, Sean. It does have a tendency to go over a lot of people's heads. Your basic viewer that just is used to watching, I mean, A24 has this. A24 Art House in general has this thing about it, where they don't like to tell you what's going on the whole time. They don't like to take you by the hand. They want you to do most figuring yourself.
Yeah, I mean, even when I watched the movie the first time, and I'm used to watching these kind of movies, these are like my favorite types of movies, and a lot of this movie went over my head my first viewing, and that's not something that happens a lot.
And it's almost put together like if Pulp Fiction was a possession and a murder and this type of a story, this type of a horror movie. It's kind of done like Pulp Fiction is in a way.
Because it's all like Pulp Fiction.
Go backward and forward, but you do it with different people who are played by different people. Because you got Emma and this Kiernan are both playing, which are both the same people, but you don't know that for the longest time. You said you've already figured it out. I didn't figure it out for a good minute. But it turns out Kat's not dead. He just shot her in the shoulder or whatever just to stop her. She's strapped down. In this movie, we finally see this Father Brian again. And Father Brian comes in, and this was really cool. He looks down at her and he was like, "Hello, how are you?" And he gets down real close to her face and he says, there you are, because she gets this grin on her face. He said, "You are not welcome here." And at this point, I'm going, what was you thinking at this point when before you realized exactly what he was getting ready to do? When he said, there you are, you're not welcome here.
Okay, so I have a confession to make. Throughout this entire movie, I thought Father Brian was a serious creep. She could still be a serious creep. Still gives off the vibe. Throughout this entire movie, that's what I thought. And then I see him like walk into the room with like a small little grin on his face like this, like. as he's walking into the room and he's looking at her sitting there defenseless on the hospital bed. And he's coming in, and I thought he was going to do some unspeakable things to her.
So you thought he was the creep, and I thought Ramar was the creep. So we had two different ideas about this. That's the thing about this kind of film too, is everybody gets their own thing taking from it, just like Saint Maud. Same aspect. But when he looks at her and says, "Oh, there you are. You're not wanted here," he's actually talking to this entity. And this is when it really comes to the sad part. Thankfully, thank God, and thank this writer and director, Oz Perkins, for not giving us a cheesy ass exorcism, just like your run of the mill every other damn movie. Because since The Exorcist, so many movies have tried it, it hadn't worked. It wasn't overstated. There wasn't a bunch of flipping around. There wasn't a bunch of bullshit. She simply arches up for one, once. He pretty much tells it, "No, you're gonna leave this girl. You're gonna leave this girl alone. You're gonna get the hell out of here." And then she looks over and she sees this same figure that she had seen. I forgot to say it earlier, but she had seen this figure in a flashback. And she looks over at it, and you can tell it's Kat again, and she's real sad, and it makes you feel bad for her. She looks over at it, and for the first time ever in a possession type movie, she doesn't want the entity to leave. She says, "Please don't go."
Because if the entity leaves, she's all alone.
Yeah,
and
she has no friends. Her mom,
she's willing, since she's all alone. I feel like the only reason that she was friends with this demon or entity or whatever, that was she had nobody else, so she was just trying to take what she could.
When mom and dad died, it was an instant replacement, and even if it is an entity that isn't supposed to be there, it's better than nobody. It's better than nothing. Mm-hmm. It's better than having no one, because no one, and it makes you feel really bad for her, and it disappears, and it does go, and then as find out from there, that's when they took her, and she spent the next 9 years in a hospital.
Yeah, when an exorcism happens and the demon goes, you're supposed to be like, "Yeah, get that demon out, yeah." No,
but that was well done. I love how he didn't make it all corny and shit.
Instead of being happy about it, you see her like completely heartbroken over.
He was nice to her. It didn't do her mean. It didn't make her assault herself sexually. It didn't make her hurt herself. It made her hurt other people, but not herself. It was good to her.
Yeah, it's just so heartbreaking. Once again, Kiernan's wonderful performance in this movie completely makes this movie good. This movie would have been good before, but she makes this one of the best A24 films by just being there.
Yeah, that's why I felt like it. Yeah, this entity was opportunistic. It didn't kill her parents. I don't believe it had anything to do with her parents' death. I think they just had a car crash. They died. It was a horrible accident. It was aware of this because it was watching her anyway, because she was alone. And, I believe that evil entities can and do this. And when it's seen that, hey, she doesn't have anybody, and I just stepped in. It took that opportunity. But it didn't give a big fight to this father. This father was able to get rid of it easily. It left. It was gone. And now we're starting to understand, because when we get back to Joan in the car there, they're getting close there. And she starts going, the wife's arguing with Bill, James Remark's character. And she, and finally Joan in the back seat's like, I'm going to be sick, stop the car, and the wife's like, "No, do not stop here. Don't stop here," because they're going through that particular town, and she's freaking the hell out. But he of course stops anyway. And as soon as he stops, Joan reaches up and slices Bill's throat.
Slices Bill's throat and just like repeatedly slabs Linda over and over again. And after this, she doesn't have the entity in her this time while she's killing people. So after she does this, she realizes, "Oh my God, I just murdered people." And she throws up all over this car. And she's like, "It's too far gone now. I have to continue."
Yeah. So she cuts their heads off. And then we find out that in her bag, she has that nurse's head. So now she's got 3 heads again. And she's right in front of the school. It turns out the school has been closed down for a long time. It's run down. There's nobody there anymore. It's all boarded up. So what she's looking to go back in there. So it doesn't show it, but we guess that she breaks in, right? With her heads. And where do you think she's gonna go? You know?
If you didn't notice, throughout like the Catherine and Joan part, in Catherine's part, she calls she uses a payphone and calls the entity. Joan does the same thing, calls the entity. The entity no longer is there. The phone number is no longer in line. Like it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And then she throws up, and they both throw up in like the same thing. And
she also showers first. Yep.
And then there's shower. Like each of these people, like each Joan and Catherine, which we know are the same person now.
Yes.
Are like retracing the steps so she has the best way of getting it to work again. Because if she retraces your steps, logically it should happen the same again.
These heads are an offering. She wants her friends back. She wants her only friends back. And she's hoping that this offering and doing this for them, but she obviously recognizes it's an evil entity. So she's going to try to get it back. So she's going to take these heads back to the furnace. The furnace that had so much heat. The only thing in her life at that point that had any kind of heat or any kind of warmth or act like it wanted her or cared for at all for her. But she goes and she feels it and it's cold. And she puts the heads there and everything. And it's just not coming back. It's just not there. And she makes a comment. She says something like, "It's gone. You're gone," or "I'm all alone now," or something like that. I don't remember what she says. Do you?
I don't remember her saying anything. I thought she just put her hand on the furnace. And here's the thing: when she touches the furnace, most of the time when people like touch something like that, they touch it and they're like, because it's too hot. She does the same thing, but it's because it's so cold.
You notice what she did after she cut the heads off too? Another point, she cleaned her face off and put makeup on because she wanted good when she was reunited with her friend. She wanted to look good for it. You know, she didn't want blow over. She didn't want to look bad. You know, she got redressed up and got cleaned up and put makeup on. And all and what a person would do if they hadn't seen a long lost friend in years, somebody they loved and cared about a lot, and was getting ready to see him again, they would want to look the best they possibly could. And you know, and I thought that was really that was really telling too. You know, she even put makeup on in preparation.
Once she like touches the furnace and it's like really, really cold, and like she tries to line up the head, she tries everything to get to work. She just leaves, and like when she leaves, she turns around, looks at the Brantford school one more time, and just starts bawling, like just
angry,
crying.
Man. That cry, I mean, that is horrible because she has realized that it's not coming back. I think it's because when she was younger, she was innocent. She was young. She was innocent. She was more of a child. You know what I mean? And now she's an adult. She's definitely not innocent anymore. She's on a brick. She's right there doing insane shit, actually. And I think she just realized, look at what I've just done. For nothing. I think when she laughed earlier, when she seen that picture of Rose, when she went in the bathroom and she went and laughed when she realized that was Rose's parents, you know, and that they were taking her back to the place where she had killed their daughter. I think she laughed because she's seen the irony in it, because she knew she already had planned that she needed those two heads, that she was going to take those two heads off those people. So she was thinking it was ironic. Look, they're taking me back to the place where I killed their daughter and where I'm getting ready to kill them. You know?
Yeah, I think she laughed also because like once you find something like shocking or something you didn't expect, you a lot of times you'll laugh.
Right. But
going back
was you know.
But going back to the ending scene, I think the reason she is so upset is because this is the first time she truly realizes she's alone, and she never grieved her parents because she had a coping mechanism, and she had the coping mechanism and the entity, and then she never properly grieved for her parents. And then at that moment, she's realizing, I'm all alone. My parents are gone. I have no friends. I've killed people to get to where I am now.
And
I
because
have nothing.
the last 9 years, she planned on coming back, and she'd had this plan to do this. She thought that he would be there again. So for the first time in 9 years, she realized she's truly alone. And all this 9 years, she just thought she just had to get back there, to get back to the furnace, and he would be there, and they'd be reunited. But now she realizes that's not going to happen. He's not coming back. He is gone. So for the first time in her life, just like you said a minute ago, she is truly alone. She really actually realizes she is truly alone. Because just like you said, when her parents were killed, and then she killed, and then she went and killed people, this entity was with her. She wasn't alone. And the whole time she was in the hospital after she did all this shit, she didn't think she was alone because she thought she could get it back. Now she can't get it back. She's completely alone. She's murdered people. And and her worst fear is reality.
Now, never have I in a movie ever wanted to know what happens after the movie as badly as I do with this one. What happens?
Right.
Like, I want to know, like, what's Catherine Stray now? Does she, like, turn herself into the police? Does she go back to a mental asylum at some point? Does she just live out a normal life after that?
I think she goes back into the school or something, or maybe I don't know, man.
Does she take her own life? What does she do?
She doesn't know where to go.
Like,
well, I think she could do is turn herself in.
I'm just so interested.
She's out in the middle of the road. Somebody's going to come along there eventually and see her.
I think eventually, most likely, because she's probably just going to walk down the road, completely shocked, feeling abandoned, blood all over. Mm-hmm. And then somebody's going to come through, get her. Most likely, somehow she'll end up at the police. Yeah. They'll throw her in like a trial or something, and most likely she'll just end back up into an insane asylum. I mean, if she goes into a court talking like, "Oh, I was just trying to rekindle my friendship," knowing.
She tells them the real story. Yeah, she's going. They're going to stick her in a padded room.
Which weirdly, it basically just means that 9-year journey is just going to end where it began.
Except for now, except for all those years, she had that padding of not realizing that she really was alone and that the entity was gone and was never going to come back.
So really, she escaped the mental asylum to make herself happy and to make the situation better, but in truth, she just made it worse.
But now she's a 6-time murderer, yeah. And she's got 3 heads. So, she has 3 heads. Again. So she's killed Rose and both of her parents. Her parents were so pathetic, though, man. I mean, they were a couple of people that had suffered through, not only because we realized, that Rose had died. We find out how she died, because that's what the wife starts saying. When you was telling her about Rose, telling her about her daughter, did you tell her how she died? Did you tell her that they had to get the head back with the body or whatever, so that they could realize which body her head went with, and she's saying, did you tell her that? Did you tell her that? She's hounding this poor guy.
Well, it's simply because she is trying to move on from her sadness of her daughter's death, and she's trying to get over it. And her husband just will not let her. He is always in the past, always saying that they have a daughter, not had a daughter. He's constantly saying other people look like his daughter. He will not let her move on.
Right. He's a terrible thing to lose. It's the most unnatural thing in the world, man. It's something you don't know. And my first child, what would be your sister, passed away. So I lost my first child. So I understand what it's like to be a parent and lose your child, but not like that. The way they lost their child would be 10 times worse. So, now that was your brother's mom. Is who I was with when I had when my daughter, your oldest sister, passed away. And we didn't make it as a couple. It destroyed us as a couple. And it usually does, because you're trying to deal with it in 2 different ways, and all that person is now to you is a reminder of that child that passed away. You know, it's really hard to get past that if you're a couple, man. It really is.
I'm okay. I have
Especially
a
for
reference to
murder.
throw in. I know this has nothing to do with the movie, but I think it's a very like I feel like it's very related to what we're talking about. Okay, so in God of War 2018, um, Kratos and Atreus, the two protagonists of the story, are riding through the boat, and they had just lost wife slash mother, and Atreus, the son, has been mourning his mother, and he's been crying, whatnot. Kratos, the father, has not been grieving at all. And when
Uh,
Atreus confronts him about this, he's like, "You never grieve at all.
right.
You didn't even really love her, did you?" And then he
Oh,
basically snaps back saying, "I grieve differently than you do. There's no reason for this to tear this apart. I grieve how I wish. You grieve how you wish."
that's a good point. No two people read the same way. It's impossible. That's why the
Because
couple don't make it
everyone's
because
different.
they're not able to connect anymore like that because there's even two different ways they suffer such a horrible loss. Hey, Gooser. Thanks for coming through. He says I've never watched any 24 film, but they sound like a similar form horror to H.P. Lovecraft. Exactly. It's yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's more talking about like the psychology of horror and less about like the horror itself.
yeah. This just where it's not a fear of something, it's a fear of the loss of sanity.
Yeah, A24 films are normally about like the fear of the loss of something important to them,
You
fear
should watch
of
some
fear
A24
of the
films,
loss of
Gooser.
friendship and companionship, fear of not being alone. They're always about being afraid of something because when it comes down to it, the most base human emotions are that of being scared.
Mhm.
So when you write something like a horror movie, you're most likely going to write about something that's personal like that, that is
Yeah,
like scary to someone. Like loneliness is terrible. None.
yeah. Try some A24 films, Gooser. Really, man. They are they got some really good ones. They really do. Um,
I
but with this,
recommend if I were to watch any of them, I would recommend maybe either The Witch or The Lighthouse. Because I mean The Lighthouse. I
they all
recommend
have
just
great
some
actors.
really good actors in it, as Willem Dafoe. It has Robert Pattinson, and I recommend The Witch just because it's a really really well done story.
Well, yeah, most of them are, and they got many different kinds, man. I mean, you've got the Northman in there, which is a
But, uh,
completely different kind of film. You got the Green Knight. You got Hereditary. You got The Witch. You got Lighthouse. Like you said, you got Lamb. Lamb's a good, interesting show. You got X. You got Midsummer, Saint Maud, Killing of a Sacred Deer. So you got a big variety. So give a couple of them a try. Check them out. Read about them. See which one appeals to you, and check it out. Give it a shot. But you got to be patient with it. You know what I mean? You're not getting you're not getting a slasher movie type killing every couple of minutes, except for X is more along that line. But see,
yeah, Willem Dafoe's great. I've been watching like a lot of like
so yeah, he is great.
I've been watching like a lot of like interviews with Willem Dafoe and like things
Oh, it was
about him.
Goose you was talking to? Sorry, that it was Goose you was talking to. Okay,
I'm
see,
just talking in general. I just love Willem Dafoe. I just
okay,
want to talk about him.
I didn't know that because I was trying to get my stuff back up and working again, which was very irritating. I'm surprised I made it through it. I'm so damn mad. But
But
I got myself together.
I
I
love Willem
made a
Dafoe.
confession.
He's easily one of the best actors in Hollywood at the moment and probably ever, in my opinion. Like I mean he's no like he's like up there with like in my opinion, because I'm different. I think he's up there with like Henry Fonda and people like that because I think he's just that good.
Who's the Gooser '07, Ryan?
I just one of my friends.
Okay, that explains it. See, I thought you guys talked when I was trying to get this shit fixed back together. No wonder you've been because the way they made it sound here was you've been trying, and I was like, when the hell do you have time to suggest all those? Just in that short amount of time I was getting the phone going again.
Hey, I'm fast.
Okay, which friend do I know of this friend?
Yeah, it's Kevin.
Hey, what's up, man? Well, at least you seem that I can put myself back together and finish a goddamn review when things go horribly wrong and I'm wanting to strangle somebody. But anyway, it worked out. And you know, it was rocky there for a minute, but we did a good job. It's only our second show. We put it together to where someone on here, I don't remember which one it was, had never seen it, but had got I think had got the idea from the review of what the hell was going on. So we must have did a decent job on it.
Yeah, and doing this as our second movie is not easy.
This
Okay, so I feel like with this movie, the only reason this movie is hard to do is because it jumps from two different times over and over again. If this movie was linear, it wouldn't be nearly as good, but it'd be a lot easier to review.
Just like St. Maud was. St. Maud was simple because you don't got all that jumping around. That's why Blackcoat's Daughter takes more than one viewing because of all that jumping around. Just like Pulp Fiction, when you see Pulp Fiction, you got to see it more than once to really take everything in, because you notice so many more things the second and third time than you did the first.
But yeah, I feel like this movie and okay, so let's just compare the two that we've already done. Saint Maud and Blackcoat's Daughter. I feel like it was a lot like, if we're going to continue with like the comparison that we have been doing, a lot like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Saint Maud has a very much more clear-cut story. It's much more linear, and I like them both better.
Absolutely.
But when it comes over to Pulp Fiction and Blackcoat's Daughter, they're still both great and done very well. Mm-hmm. But I just think I enjoy a more linear movie.
Right. But I mean, you really like this too. See, the thing about the A24 films is, a lot of people, especially the younger people like yourself and Gavin, you guys seem to be a little different. But most people your age and most millennial people and just younger people than me by 10, 20, 15, 20 years, they just don't have the patience. They got to have something told to them, and they got to have a killing all the time. They got to have action all the time. If you have a story, you might have to watch the movie once or twice. They don't have the patience for it. Mm-hmm. You got to have patience. A great film usually requires patience. And because it's about more than just your simple, basic, everyday shit. It's actually telling you a story worth telling you. I don't got a problem with slashers. I love slashers. I grew up on them. But it's a completely different type of film. This is an actual story about something. Not where the kills are the important part.
See how I am is very different from you. I feel is that I don't like movies very much that aren't something to think about. Even movies like John Wick, which I'm very excited for the fourth one. It's an action movie, and that's what it is at heart. There's always something happening in it, right. And yet, but the John Wick character himself is so well acted by Keanu Reeves that it's fine because you can think about his roles. You can think about how it all connects.
Right.
Even in movies like that, there is something great about it.
Yeah.
That's what movies that are like John Wick get wrong a lot of the time. Is that they'll have like all this action, but you won't care because you don't care about the characters.
Yes, you don't have the substance in it. It's all action and those substance. It's like where they say it's all sizzle and then no steak or whatever. You know what I mean? You can't have all sizzle but no meat. You got to have the meat. You have to, and then all that action's okay.
So I have a question. You asked me how I would rate Saint Maud. How would you rate Blackcoat's Daughter?
Well. What level did we go last time? Did we go between 1 and 5?
We went between 1 and 10, but you can go whatever you want to go in between this time. It doesn't matter.
If I was going to go between 1 and 10, I would give it a good 8.5, 9, man. I really like this, man.
I think I'd give it more of maybe more of a 7.5.
Really?
Which is really good. Knowing like people always think like 7 is like a subpar rating. It's really not. 7 is a great score. It's just I just think it's the story it's trying to tell. No, I can't rate just a 7.5. I'm gonna go 8, 8.5. I have to. I just thought about it and I'm like, man, I was lowballing it. It's just really good. Both of the movies that we've done so far are just so good that's hard to rate them anywhere between like under an 8.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. We did definitely for a second time for your only your second review. We did pick a one that was going to be more complicated, and it was handled pretty well. You know what I mean? We definitely picked a much harder one than we did last time.
What one do you want to do for next time?
I don't know. Do you want to go somewhere in between, or do you want to go a little simpler, straighter ahead? It's kind of
Um,
hard with the kind of films we're doing, but we also agreed to do other stuff like Seven. We agreed to do stuff like Interview with the Vampire. There's so many. Do you want to go? Do you want to go away from A24 for a minute and go to something like that?
I don't
Or
know, man. I like myself some A24.
yeah, but Seven's like your one of your like it's like your
It's
favorite
my
movie.
favorite movie, but I feel like I want to get a little more comfortable explaining, like, because my plan is I'm going to try to explain harder movies, so
Uh,
when I get to movies that are a little easier, I'm very good at it. I'm trying to jump into the deep end so I learn how to swim in the shallow waters.
Yeah, and like I said, we could do it a million different ways. We don't have to go with this one. I felt we were going to have to go with the scene by scene type review because of the way it jumps back and forth. Otherwise, there's no way we could have got to the point of what was going on and have it make sense. We couldn't do it like we did St. Maud. There's no way we could have done it just like that because no one would have knew what the hell he was talking about.
I think for the next one we should go for like maybe like a Northman or Green Knight or maybe even Under the Skin. I think that one would be fun to do.
Yeah, I want you to watch. It comes at night. It's also one of these kind of films, and it's pretty straightforward too, and it's like a post-apocalyptic thing, but it's done in a unique kind of way, in a family type of way, where it's a family trying to survive instead of like a guy and one other person. It's got a unique thing to it, and it's not about it don't have zombies and all that kind of stuff. It's just got it's about this elusive, mysterious illness that makes you sick, and then you die real quick, and it's basically about almost like the COVID, where people are so paranoid and were so afraid to get it that they just wanted to keep away, and you had to keep that distancing. It has kind of that to it too.
It sounds good, man. We'll watch it soon. But yeah, in conclusion, I thought the Black Coats are was a great movie. That I think its style and the way it was made this movie. If this movie was to be made any other way than it was, this movie would not work.
Yeah, and it's got
Simply
a great,
because I feel like this is a movie that's more style over substance. Like this movie, has a great style to it. It's very I don't know how to explain it. It's just so interesting.
no, right. It's got a great creepiness to it. Also, I'm so shocked how they was able to pull a possession and exorcism off without it being this corny ass films that you see do it over and over and over again unsuccessfully. He,
Um,
he did it perfectly. He didn't, like I say, he didn't get to where she was flipping all around and going, oh, he didn't have none of that bullshit. It was quick to the point and made the focus of it be her loneliness and the fact she didn't want to leave rather than her trying to fight it off and get rid of it.
mhm.
For
Now,
once, they had the balls to have the girl want to keep the damn thing in there and it be good to her, and that's why she wanted to keep it.
now I did want to mention something that I've been seeing in the chat. REP
Translation.
Lance Reddick.
That sucks, man. First time I ever seen him was in Oz, and then he was in The Wire.
Man, he did a really good job, and it's a really sad thing that he's gone.
He's a good actor. That
He
sucks.
really is.
I'm only 10 years away from 60, so
And it was just natural causes, according to the chatter down here.
no one
To
should be
Sean.
dying of natural causes at 60 years old. That's oh man. Hey Marianne, how you doing? Thanks for coming through. Anybody who hasn't given us a like, please do that. We'd really appreciate that and get us out to as many people so we can harass and torment as many people as possible with this video.
And also,
Thank you.
anyone that hasn't seen the Saint Maud, go check that out.
Yes, yes. St. Maud, check out Black Coat's Daughter. But when you check out Black Coat's Daughter and St. Maud, be patient with them,
Mhm.
and with Black Coat, you definitely got to see it more than once because you're gonna notice your second, third viewing or whatever, or at least your second viewing, you're gonna notice a lot of things in it, and it's gonna flow and make a lot more sense the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my advice. We'll figure out another one that we'll be doing here in a couple of weeks. We're doing every other week, right? At this point.
I mean, we can do it every week. It just depends on how it falls. It's either going to be every week, every other week. I think it's basically just when we feel like it.
Well, and I got a lot going on my plate on this channel too. So that I'm getting ready to start a new show Tuesday.
It's whenever it's convenient.
And I'm also, I got two things that I'm starting up here and going with. But I'll squeeze you in anytime, You're always one that I'll always squeeze in there whenever you want to. Whenever you want to do a movie with me, you're the one person that gets dibs over anybody. So if you want to do it next week, we will. If you want to wait a week, we will. So that's up to you.
I think it just depends on the movie that we're watching. Like if we're doing a more simple movie, we can probably do it like the next week. But I feel like if we're doing like a more complicated movie like this, I feel like it makes sense to maybe give it a little extra time.
Right. Well, we could do it like that if you want. We could plan on doing a real simple, straightforward one.
Yeah, we could do this. We could be like 2 week, 1 week, 2 week, 1 week.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
How's that idea?
Yeah. We could rotate it like that. Until you really get really dug in and really used to what you're doing and comfortable with it. Yeah, that works for me, man.
Agoraphobe here has been trying to get me to make my own channel.
Yeah, you should, man. You can do it, and you seem to think you'd have to be locked into doing. You can do anything you want. You can do 10 different things.
I know, but if you do a whole bunch of different things, you never build up an audience because you always alienate one half of the audience while pleasing another.
Man, they never know what the hell I'm going to do, man.
But yeah, I loved this movie.
I'm going to get on here and bitch a lot and rant a lot, and and put things down to the rule according to Agoraphobe. That's the one thing they can always count on.
But yeah, I loved this movie. I thought it was fantastic. And I'm very excited to do the next one with you. So if you want to close us out, you can.
We'll figure it out. Everybody take it easy. Like I say, everybody give us a like on it. Leave a comment. Tell us what you thought about how we did it. What do you think about the Black Coat's Daughter? We're gonna say I've yet to watch Black Coat's Daughter, but it's always on TV and I leave it on the background. Assuming I should give it a full attention. Yeah, you might do it more than once. The first time you'll get it, but the second time around you'll really start to get it. I give it high praises. I absolutely enjoy the hell out of it.
And you have to go into it with the right mindset. You have to go into it like willing to sit down, like actually like watch the movie, take your time with it.
Yeah.
And make sure that you're patient enough for it. Like if you have like something that you needed to do later and like can't fully focus on it, don't watch it yet. Just wait until later when you have time.
Right. Here, let me. Sean says, "Take care, have a good night," or what? Take care, Sean. Thanks for coming by. Ninja says, "Yeah, do it. I do horror, but through a random action movie or 70s classics, and they get huge reviews." So, what happened?
No, you flipped. No, you flipped. You're still on. You just flipped. Yeah, you're still on. You just flipped. Yeah, I can see you. You're sideways, but I can see you. Hey, we're still live.
Yeah, I told you we were still going. Take it easy, man. I have to edit this.